Welcome to the Shoulda Bet More podcast presented by Go Boys. Coming up on the show, Scott Seidenberg of pregame.com is going to join us. We will talk about the NBA Finals, the NHL Finals, which are still going on. Last we talked, it was Friday. So you know what? By the next time we talk, we may or may not have a game to talk about, but we do have them. And the one thing I really emphasized on Friday, and really anytime these series are 3-0, is I hate getting involved in game 4 when it's 3 games to no and 3 games to none. And we saw that really in the NBA and the NHL where both teams were up 3-0. And not only, it's very strange how both series followed the same pattern where both teams that were up 3 games to none not only lost game 4, but lost in almost historic fashion. The hockey game was 8-1. The NBA game was about to break a record for largest point differential. Bulls Jazz in 98. I think it was 96-52. And it looked like the Celtics were flirting with that for a minute. They end up losing by 38. It's just, that's why I don't love getting involved when in game 4, because sometimes the team that's down 3-0, they are, they have their eyes on vacation. They know it's over and they kind of pack it in. But sometimes the opposite, where the team that's up 3-0, especially when they got one on the road, say, hey, we got our split. We did our job. We're fine. And they fall behind and they just don't fight back. And we certainly saw that in the NBA game and to an extent the NHL game with the Oilers and the Panthers. And the NBA, boy, the playoffs have been bad. They've been really bad. All of the drama we haven't gotten in the playoffs, I wouldn't say all of it, a lot of the drama can be restored if Dallas can somehow win game 5 and Boston, with all of their past postseason failures, is sitting there game 6 with a road game Thursday night to avoid a game 7. That would be awesome. That would be a lot of fun to watch Boston have to sweat. And if you're Dallas, you don't need to win 3 in a row. You don't need to worry about that. You just need to win one game, and then the pressure really mounts on Boston to take the floor in game 6. That being said, I don't know that they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to do it. This is just going to be an environment they're walking into on Monday night, and Dallas is getting 6.5. So Boston minus 6.5, total 209.5. All these games have gone under in the NBA Finals after a wave of overs in the conference finals. I just think they're walking into a wave of emotion, enthusiasm, a crowd with a chance to close it out. Look, Boston, for all of their championships in franchise history, they haven't won a lot recently. I mean, 2008, they won one. Before that, it was 1985. So it's not like they win it every year. They're going to be in a frenzy on Monday night. And I just don't know that Dallas is up to the task. So I would actually look to lay in the 6.5. I think Boston wins. I think they win comfortably. I'm rooting for Dallas. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see a game 6. And who knows? These playoffs have been so bad. Maybe we're kind of owed one where this ends up being a classic series in Dallas. Can you imagine if Dallas could force a game 7, somehow win this game 5? And I say somehow, hey, they're an underdog, but it's 6.5. It's not like it's 26.5. I mean, we've seen crazier things than a 6.5 point underdog win a game. And then all of a sudden you can win at home in game 6 and you're sitting there for a game 7. Again, we're a long way from there, but hey, 2 wins is you're a 2-game winning streak from forcing game 7. That's how you got to look at it if you're Dallas. And you have to look at it also, hey, nobody's ever come back from down 3-0. Well, we don't have to come back from down 3-0. All we have to do is come back from down 3-1, because it's not 3-0 anymore. It's 3-1, and you kind of look at it that way. And it's happened once in NBA Finals history. Obviously, the Cavs and the Warriors in 2016. It was the same formula where it was 5 was on the road and 7 was on the road for Cleveland. That was an all-time great Warrior team, 73-9, and Cleveland still did it. So who knows? I'm cautiously optimistic we get a game. I'm hopeful. I should say I'm hopeful we get a game, but I would look towards Boston winning comfortably here. I look towards laying the 6.5. MVP is interesting, where it is still Brown is the favorite, but he did not have a good game in game number 4. So it's weird. It's almost like if you have your bad game, but it's in a loss, that you get forgiven for it. Brown's minus 235, Tatum's plus 255, Luke is 11-1. If you think Dallas is coming back, Holiday's 35-1. Some at some other books where he's actually longer. If I had to play anything in that, I think Tatum's the favorite. I just don't know it. I think Brown's the rightful favorite. I just don't know that it should be minus 235. If I had to take it, I'd say Tatum plus 255. I don't think Holiday's dead at 35-1 with the narrative being he's such a good guy, and the missing piece. There's a lot that would make you think that Holiday does have a chance to win this award at 35-1 if he had a big game, and Tatum and Brown did not do a lot. So we will see. Hopefully we'll get a game 6 in one of these. It'd be fun just to keep it going here for one of these finals. The finals have just been so bad, so non-competitive, and really the whole playoff, especially for the NBA, has not been good. We do have a couple College World Series games on Monday. Florida, NC State. Florida minus 125. Florida had a bad loss. Florida had every opportunity Saturday night. That game was late Saturday night. Rain delay didn't start till like midnight. They bunted down 2 runs with a man on second and nobody out in like the 7th inning. These college managers, college coaches do some strange things. And then they didn't challenge a play at third where they would have had an out. I was flipping back between games. I don't know that it cost them a run, but it was a very strange sequence. And then, look, I love these college games. The games were good this weekend. These umps, especially in that Florida A&M game, they call everything a strike. Yeah, I mean, it's like a little league strike zone. Anything close to the plate's a strike, at least with the guy doing the game Saturday night, Florida and A&M. That was just a terrible zone he had. But Florida, NC State, that's Monday at 2 o'clock Eastern. And then 7 o'clock, we've got Kentucky and A&M. Both of those games won their first game. So that's a big one. Winner of that is in good shape here to keep moving. Florida, NC State's an elimination game. I don't have futures up here at in my Connecticut books, but obviously Florida was 12-1 coming in some spots, 15-1 in other spots. Now that they lost, I'm sure they are much longer. They're going to need to string together, I think 3 or 4 wins to get to a final and get back on even ground. So we'll see. Quickly here before we get to Scott, just a couple baseball things. Mookie Betts broke his hand. About even money to win MVP. That hurts the Dodgers. Dodgers also lost Yamamoto, who's going to go on the IL with a rotator cuff strain. So Betts out for a long time. He's not going to win the MVP. I wouldn't think. Going to be out a month and a half, 2 months. Can't win the MVP that way. Those awards are down at DraftKings now and down at most of the other books. And we are looking at Yamamoto on the IL. So look, the Dodgers don't need him for the regular season, but that does affect the awards. It does affect home field, things like that. They're going to win the West, but something to keep an eye on. And Cole will be back for the Yankees. It sounds like this week against Baltimore. He said he's good to go. Hey, I can throw 75 to 90 pitches. If I'm going to throw 75 to 90 pitches, why throw them in the minors? Why not just throw them for the Yankees, especially against the Orioles? The Yankee pitching starting to show a little cracks. Rodon wasn't great against the Red Sox. Stroman wasn't great against the Red Sox. Here's the bottom line, like as good as the Yankees have been, if you're going to need Stroman or Rodon to win a big playoff game, you're going to have to hold your breath. Those guys have been effective, but gonna go a long way before I trust either one of those, especially if it's like, hey, you're down 2-1 in a playoff series and you have to throw Marcus Stroman or Carlos Rodon. I'd be very careful. So getting Cole back seemed like a luxury for a while, but it's not a luxury. You need him, especially you figure there's some regression coming with Heel at some point. So it'll be good to get Cole back if you're the Yankees. And the Yankees haven't shaken Baltimore as well as they've played. Baltimore is still right there for the division. That's going to be, I would think, a long race that goes into September because usually when you play 690 baseball like the Yankees have, you run away and hide in the division. Well, you got a team right behind you in Baltimore that's played not as well, but almost as well. So a lot to do. Fun time of the year. We'll see if we can get some juice back in these NBA and NHL finals. We'll discuss that with Scott Seidenberg. That is next. This is the Shoulda Bet More podcast. All right, we are back. Shoulda Bet More podcast. He is back. You can catch him straight out of Vegas, pregame.com, the Dream Preview Pod. It is Scott Seidenberg. Scott, what's up, man? A lot to discuss. What's going on?
What a great sports weekend. And I feel like from a betting perspective, Will, there's like a lot that we can get into as we get ready for another week here.
Yeah, and as I was recording this, I kind of forgot to mention I don't do a lot of golf, but just a wild ending in the U.S. Open. Got to feel bad for Rory. I guess you don't. I don't know. Depends on how your bets went. But it's funny how the NBA Finals, the NHL Finals, following the same pattern where the team down 3-0 not only won, but won in such a convincing way that maybe it gives you a sliver of hope that one of them can get back into this series here. I guess we'll start with Dallas and Boston. Did any of that convince you that maybe we can have a game 6 and we can have Boston squirm here Thursday night going back to Dallas?
No, I think Boston's going to blow them out in game 5. I feel like, and I said this going into the games for both actually, but more so for Boston's perspective in the NBA Finals. I felt that going into game number 4 with a 3-0 lead, you never want to say, okay, we're not going to try and win this game, but if there was a moment where they went down double digits in the first quarter like they did in game 3, there wasn't going to be that same type of intensity to come back like they did in game 3. Instead, what happened was exactly what happened in game 4. They went down double digits and they said, you know what? We got a home game in game 5. We're all right. We don't need to push ourselves to try to come back in this game because we're up 3-0. And then like it's kind of deep in their subconscious where everything they've gone through the past couple of years, don't you think part of them just wants to celebrate at home, wants to win it in front of their crowd on their home floor? I just feel like I know you never want to go into a game assuming, and you never want to say we're okay losing, but I feel like deep down they were okay losing game 4.
I think there's a natural. This is why I talked about it before game 4. I don't like getting involved in game 4 when it's 3-0 because I just feel like whoever falls behind, I don't want any part of it. If Dallas fell behind, went down 12, I don't know. Were they really going to say, hey, let's rally back, we'll win this game, and they'll come back and win the series? You just feel like it's kind of a punt game for whoever gets ahead. It's maybe more of a live betting game. So I'm with you. I think that's going to be a raucous crowd Monday night. I think that's going to be a hard place to win. So I'm with you on the 6.5. Any feel for the total here at 2-0, 6.5? All these games have gone under so far.
Yeah, I don't have a feel for the total because I don't know how much like intensity comes into the fourth quarter. If this is a close game, then it probably goes over if it's a close game, if we're being honest. Like, because then both teams are scoring. But I think if it's a blowout, do we see Dallas, kind of just phone it in at the end and just acknowledge the champs? Do we see, Boston pull its guys in the fourth quarter and the bench players get some minutes because, hey, let's get these guys some minutes in an NBA Finals. The series is over. We're winning. We're up by 20. So I don't really know where the total can go. I don't want any part of it. My best bet is Boston, and I'll lay the points. I really do think that Boston wins this one going away.
We're due for an over, though, right? Aren't we due? Isn't that how that works?
You would think, right? Just what should we be martingaling every time it loses?
And I forget the numbers off the top of my head, but there were a wave of overs in the conference finals, both in the West and the East. So maybe this is the correction here with all these unders coming in. MVP is interesting. Brown is the favorite. I think he's the rightful favorite. I just don't know that he should be minus 235. I'm going to try to find a different book, see if we can get disparity, but it's Brown is a solid favorite. Tatum, you're getting like 2.5 to 1. I still think Holiday has, I don't know, a fighter's chance to win this award. Is there a bet to be made in terms of MVP in your mind?
I've already placed it, and it's Jason Tatum I did it at plus 255. And I know we get fined for talking about bets in pocket here, but I've been no stranger to this one. As soon as Jaylen Brown became the favorite, I went ahead and bet on Jason Tatum because I always felt, first off, that, and this is something that we talked about on the Dream Pod last week, that if the series went beyond a game 4, it was better for Jason Tatum because he had an opportunity to put up more numbers, right? And catch up to Jaylen Brown. But think about this when it comes to Jason Tatum. He led the Eastern Conference Finals in points, rebounds, and assists. And yet Jaylen Brown won the MVP because he had the big moments, right? He had the big 3-pointer. He had the block. He had that pass to Derek White that clinched the game against the Pacers. So the moments were there for Jaylen Brown, and that's why the voters voted for him to win the award, despite the fact that Jason Tatum led the team in points, rebounds, and assists. Tatum, if he outscores Jaylen Brown in game 5, will once again lead them in points, rebounds, and assists on a per game level. But just think about this on an overall level. Since 1980, only 5 players have led their teams to championships while leading their teams in points, rebounds, and assists. Jason Tatum will become the 6th player to do that since 1980. I just don't see how the writers can vote for anybody beyond Jason Tatum if he accomplishes that. I understand he had a bad early first part of this series, but we know that it's a what have you done for me lately type of award. So if he outscores Jaylen Brown and has the better game in game 5, he's going to be the MVP. And also, I think that him and Brown are so neck and neck when it comes to who's like the alpha on the Boston Celtics. But Jason Tatum has been the guy for the past several years. And because Brown won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, I think the voters say, all right, we're going to give it a split. Brown got the Conference Finals MVP. Tatum, you get the NBA Finals MVP. And for Tatum, it's more like a lifetime achievement award for being the best player on the best team over the last 5-6 years and finally getting to the top of the mountain.
Can Holiday steal this with a big game?
No. He had the one game and that's it. It's just not good enough. I can understand if he was defending Luka and Luka was not scoring at all, but it's not like he's been doing. Look, before the series, I thought the 50 to 1 on Holiday was a great bet, but I don't think he's done
Got to 7 to
enough.
1 too. Got
I
down like
know.
7.
Well, because he had the one great game,
Yep.
but he hasn't done enough of the intangibles that we needed him to have in order for him to cash that.
No, you're probably right. You're probably right. It's just I feel like the media likes him. He could be, the narrative angle of, hey, he's the missing piece. He's the guy who wasn't here for all these shows. So it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. It'd be interesting too if this game, if Dallas somehow wins, which I don't know. I'll probably bet Boston in game 5, so I'll be rooting for Boston. But I just, as a fan, I want to see Boston squirm, have Boston have to play a 6 game and see that pressure, which I don't know how they deal with it, but I don't know that we'll get there. Quickly, how about the hockey? Do we think, did Edmonton show you enough where they can make this series that goes 6, and then who knows?
I think they could. I thought, well, going into the game, I thought it was like the same thing as the NBA Finals, where I thought that Edmonton was going to win and it wasn't even going to be close. Because and it's so funny because I talked about it before the game, and I actually mentioned that we could see Bobrovsky get pulled. And the only thought process I had behind that was that, look, they're up 3 games to none. It's been a grueling postseason. The travel between Edmonton and Florida is just ridiculous. That if Edmonton went up by 3 goals, why not give the guy the rest of the night off so that he's a little bit more rested when it comes to game 5 at home? And I thought it was a genius move by Paul Maurice to do that. There was no reason to keep him in that game. Like, you weren't winning that game. So I don't care if the score was 8-1 or if it was 1-0. It didn't matter. So the fact that they gave Bobrovsky a little bit of rest, I do think Florida has a big advantage going into game 5. But, hockey's a funny sport, man. Confidence is a funny thing. And with Edmonton winning, I really think that they got some confidence now that if they are able to steal game 5 in Florida, I think they win game 6 at home and this series goes to 7. So it all hinges on this one game. I think, Will, the more interesting conversation, tell me if you agree with this. I really think that Connor McDavid can win the Conn Smythe Award even if the Oilers lose the Stanley Cup final. Now hear me out, okay? Hear me out. Bobrovsky got lit up in game number 4, which ruins his stats. And also, like I mentioned with the NBA Finals and the voters, it's a "what have you done for me lately" kind of thing. Like, what the most recent thing sticks up fresh in their minds. So as great as Bobrovsky's been throughout these finals, the last thing that people remember right now is the blow up in game number 4. It's also not the MVP of the final. The Conn Smythe Award is the most valuable player during the entire postseason. And because McDavid broke Wayne Gretzky's record for most assists during an entire postseason, I think he has a fighting chance with no clear-cut winner on Florida's side. Yeah, you can say maybe it's Bobrovsky, maybe it's Barkov, but with no clear-cut winner, it's easy to say, oh, Bobrovsky was the best player in games 1, 2, and 3 of the final. No one's been better this entire postseason than Connor McDavid. And so the fact that it's an award given out to the MVP of the playoffs, not the MVP of the final series, I think he has a fighting chance. And oh my goodness, Will, if Edmonton wins game 5, he's got an even better chance.
It's just hard. I just don't know if there's the appetite for it. It's just the sports climate we're in where the team that wins, I don't know. I just think back to LeBron in 2015. That was the year where he just dominated every single statistical category. And if there was ever a time to give it to a losing player, it would have been that. I know it's the finals and this is the whole playoffs. So maybe I'm just skeptical when, all right, Florida wins the cup. And by the way, Conn Smythe goes to, McDavid. I don't know. We'll see what number. If I told you, and somebody should put up a number on this. Odds of Conn Smythe coming from a losing team. So it's a multifaceted handicap where they have to lose, but then they have the Conn Smythe from a losing team. That would be a fun prop. What number would you need? I tell you right now, he's going to lose. What would you adjust his odds to if I told you that Florida won the series?
So I think the odds stay the same as what they are now because Florida's up 3 games to 1. So McDavid right now, I think, is at what, plus 550 or plus 600 around that range. So I think the price is accurate. If you told me like before the series started, like where McDavid was the favorite, I would say like you would have to give me north of 12 to 14 to 1 to think that, because think about it, the only person that you could even fathom winning the award in a loss would be somebody that was the odds-on favorite before the series even began. And really, for a skater, it's almost impossible. We've seen goaltenders do it. Remember the Ducks Devils series where Jean-Sebastien Giguère won the Conn Smythe, even though the Devils won in 7 games. But Giguère was just incredible, and many of those games went to overtime as well. So they gave him the Conn Smythe as the MVP of the playoffs. But I would think you need to be a favorite before the series, which is what McDavid was. And you would probably think it would have to be a close series, like going 7, like that Devils and Ducks series did. So I don't know. It's very hard. It's very hard to have a loser do it if the series ends in 5 games. So yes, it's hard.
So any bet for game 5?
I think I might take a stab on the Oilers if we're being honest. But rather maybe just go with McDavid props. He finally scored a goal, even though I haven't liked taking him to like score goals. I'd rather just take like the over points because he's always capable of getting multiple assists. So if you're looking at that, probably you would think that if Edmonton has a chance to win this game, it's going to be because McDavid has multiple points, whether it's a goal and an assist or whether it's 2 assists. Like, you're not winning the game 1-0 if you're Edmonton. So you got to have multiple goals. If there's going to be multiple goals, you got to figure they might come from the McDavid line. So I would go with McDavid over 1.5 points.
A couple quick baseball ones before I get you out of here. Betts gets hurt, you can pretty much get rid of his chances for the MVP, and he was around even money. So, boy, if you had a ticket on them, you say, all I need to do is stay healthy. Well, you didn't stay healthy. You broke your wrist. Terrible luck. Nothing you could do. 98-mile-an-hour fastball right off the wrist that you knew right away it was trouble. So the odds have just come up. They were down for a minute, but Ohtani's the new favorite at plus 180. Bryce Harper, 3-1. Freeman, plus 950. Fernando Tatis Jr. also plus 950. Marcell Ozuna also plus 950. Contreras 18-1. Betts has dropped all the way down to 26-1. Any of those guys worth a shot? And anybody I didn't mention that comes to your mind that in terms of anything that's worth a bet?
I think it's Harper. You look at the old moniker, best player, best team, right? Phillies have been the best team all year, and if they continue to do so, Bryce Harper certainly is going to get votes and probably deserves the award out of anybody on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies could have the Cy Young Award winner and the MVP. And I'm not talking about Zach Wheeler. Like, Ranger Suarez is the Cy Young Award winner in the National League, especially after Wheeler got lit up on Sunday.
Hammered.
So, I think that Harper's my guy. People also don't realize this because, Harper's move to first base is still kind of like people just like acknowledge, oh, Bryce Harper is just Bryce Harper, and he's always been there. But his move to first base is still kind of fresh. He legit, and he might, he could win the Gold Glove Award this year at first base. Like, that's how good he's been, where he has transitioned from an elite outfielder to one of the better first basemen in all of Major League Baseball. And I think that the voters acknowledge that as well, kind of a doing it all for your team type thing. So I like Harper to be the MVP. If you can bet on Gold Gloves, which you can't, I mean, I haven't ever seen those odds anywhere, he would be, I think Harper wins the Gold Glove this year at first base.
Yeah, so Harper's at 3-1. That's enough for you to actually take it?
Yeah, I think it's gonna get shorter if we're being honest.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see him because Ohtani's not pitching this year. I don't think he gets the same type of attention. And let's see how that lineup fares without Mookie Betts. It's easy. What did we see the Yankees lineup do when Juan Soto was out a couple of games?
Right. The Dodgers are top heavy too. You think of the Dodgers just stacked 1 through 9, which, hey, you got Betts, Freeman, Ohtani. That's a hell of a start. But after that, and I know that's a hell of a start, but after that, it's a lot of, okay, Will Smith's a good player, but like the 6, 7, 8, and 9, it's Andy Pages and it's Enrique Hernandez. It's definitely a little bit of a drop off.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know if people realize this. We might only be looking at one pennant race in Major League Baseball. Now, the wild card races will be good. Everyone's in the mix in the National League. You're always going to have teams in the mix when you have this many spots. But a lot of these divisions are spoken for. You figure Philly's going to run away and hide. Dodgers are still going to run away and hide. The Brewers with a big win. They now have a commanding lead in the Central. You just look at all these divisions. It might only be the Yankees and the Orioles in terms of division race. Is there any fear in your mind that the Yankees don't win this division? Starting pitching did not look great this weekend in Fenway. As we're recording, they trail 4-2. Stroman got roughed up.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about it because Garrett Cole's coming back, and the Yankees will add at the deadline. Whereas I don't think the Orioles will add at the deadline. The Orioles have built up an incredible system, an incredible roster, and I don't think that they're a team that wants to part ways with some young talent in order to bring in a rental. Plus, they have guys themselves that are coming back from injury. Obviously losing Means again hurts them a lot, but they're hoping that they get Bautista back and back into the bullpen, strengthen things up. I just don't see them sacrificing some of the young talent that they have, whereas the Yankees don't care. The Yankees are going to go out there and get somebody, whether it's, a bullpen arm or another bat. And there's guys out there. There's a lot of talent
What do you
that is
want?
going to be available.
I want to bat. I'm so sick of Rizzo, LeMahieu. I know I can't look. You can't have 9 All-Stars every position, but I want to upgrade one of them. I know they won't upgrade both of them. LeMahieu's got a 480 OPS. Rizzo's an automatic out. His defense been shaky. I don't love Torres at second, but again, you can't have everything. I love another corner infielder. I just whether it's Goldschmidt or not, I don't know if Arenado's the answer because he hasn't been great, but I'd want somebody.
Okay, I don't. Do you? I saw an article like a couple of days ago talking about Vlad Guerrero being traded to the Yankees. I don't. The Blue Jays have already said that they're not like in sell mode. I know, like the Biggio trade, like they don't care. Like he sucks. Like, but they've already said like, no, we're not trading Bichette. We're not trading. We're not trading Vlad. But I did see that article. It might have been like Jim Bowden or whatever that mentioned Vlad to the Yankees. So that's an interesting name that could come up. I mean, Luis Roberts, the guy that's obviously on the trade the trade talk for every team out there that wants to get a bat. He doesn't necessarily solve your infield equation there,
I don't know
but
where
as
they
far
play
as
him with Verdugo, Stanton. I just don't know where they play him.
exactly as far as getting a bat that could help him.
Yeah.
I don't know what infielders out there. Obviously, like, there are arms out there like the White Sox will certainly be willing to trade some arms. The Marlins will trade some arms. Do the A's want to trade some arms as well? The Rockies are going to be a team that's gonna trade people. Oh, Ryan McMahon. There you go. There's your infielder.
Not
Done.
bad. That would not be
Sold.
bad. Yeah, that
There
that
it
could
is.
that could work. That could
I'm
absolutely
thinking.
work.
Finally thought of one player on the Rockies.
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah, there's your trade target, Ryan McMahon. Ryan McMahon will be a Yankee. Okay.
Goldschmidt wouldn't do it for you.
He's been so depressing this year.
Yeah.
It's really disgusting. I mean, the whole Cardinals organization is just. I mean, what has happened? I mean, I know they're in second place, but like are they like a minus 40 run differential, something like that, minus 38? Like what? This team used to be like a really good offense. It's just they just don't have it right now.
Yeah, Goldschmidt's been a little better recently, but not the numbers you expect. 8 homers, 646 OPS. He has not been great. So that's a name, but that production doesn't match the match what you expect. And I know by the time people are listening, this will be nobody wants to hear play-by-play of a Sunday night game, but Soto, the full count, it just took 2 balls that were called strikes, and it should be first and second for Judge. But instead Soto grounds out. So that's a tough break here for
I got to tell you, man, I watched a lot of baseball over this weekend, and I really think like they've been testing out that challenge system,
it's gonna
like
happen
in the minors and stuff, where the batter can tap on his helmet,
yes,
and that leads to a quick challenge. And with the Hawkeye technology, like it's so quick,
yes,
like the umpire calls a strike, the batter taps his helmet, and the umpire turns around, and then literally within like 2 seconds, he turns back around and goes, "All right, it was a ball."
It's almost like tennis.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. The same technology.
Yep.
So they have to do that in Major League Baseball. Now, I don't want to go crazy because replaying all sports bothers me.
Me too.
Like there's like the one thing I hate in the NBA is how like every time a ball goes out of bounds, the players call for a replay. Like, dude, like they only replay in the final 2 minutes. Stop calling for a replay. Or like there's a foul and they want to challenge it. It's like you literally don't have any challenges left. You just lost your challenge. So I hate that. But I do think that baseball can do it quickly, and we've seen it. It's being tested out. I don't know what the rules are. Like you can say, hey, you can do one per inning, or the batter can do, one per at bat. But if he loses it, like the rest of the team loses a challenge. Like I don't know what rules you have to make, but I would
Those
love
are
to
so
see.
quick that it's not that bad. I mean, you can get a few of them a game where, hey, just a
That's what I'm
quick one.
saying.
There's got to be some penalty for an incorrect challenge, but
Exactly. There
it's
has
so
there has to be
seamless.
a
I don't.
penalty.
Yeah.
There's got to be a penalty because you can't just keep doing it on every pitch. You
Right.
can't keep arguing every pitch. Maybe that's what I'm saying. Maybe like one per at bat or something. But I watched a lot of pitches this weekend that were called incorrectly. And I know that the umpires, there's more accountability now because we have the technology to see where they were right and where they were wrong. But I don't want to completely go with robo umps. I would just like a challenge system in play because I've seen far too many mistakes. And it's funny. I brought this up in the past. I think the box on TV, that little box that shows the audience what a strike is, has ruined the viewing experience for us baseball fans. Because now what am I doing? I'm complaining
Yes.
about pitches that little box is telling me is not a strike. Whereas 15 years ago, when I was watching a baseball game and I saw the catcher catch it and frame it, I didn't think twice about it.
Yeah, it
I
leaves
was
a
like,
little something to the imagination, or maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. There was a little debate. Now there's a correct answer with every pitch, and it looks like the ump's getting it right or wrong, which he is. But no, I totally agree with you.
it's like ruined it. I'm complaining all the time now. I feel like I'm an NBA player when the ball goes out of bounds.
Yes, exactly. And that just happened with Soto, who's got a great eye. Took one clearly inside and clearly high. They were both called strikes. Instead of having two on for Judge, it's one on. They did a wild pitch and it's 4-3. And again, this is fascinating broadcasting. People listening to this on Monday or Tuesday about the sixth inning of the Yankee game, but just not good. Not good. Were you concerned at all the fact Rodon didn't pitch well? Stroman didn't pitch well. This pitching starting to show some cracks, or not a big deal. Cole's gonna be back. They'll be fine.
I think they'll be fine when Cole comes back. I was concerned, not with Rodon, because I feel like the Rodon that was 7-0 with a 1.3 ERA over 7 starts is not the Rodon that we can expect. And he's kind of somewhere in between that dominant guy and the guy that got lit up on Saturday. But I was concerned about Clay Holmes against the Royals,
Yeah.
blowing that game in the ninth inning, because the strength of the Yankees has been their pitching and their bullpen's been fantastic. And if Holmes, I understand like no one goes perfect. No one's going to be like elite for the entire season. You're going to have games where you're just going to mess up. But I don't want to see that become a pattern, because that's going to be the difference in the Yankees winning or losing in October. It's not going to be the starting pitching. Like, yeah, starting pitching is important, but it's going to be the ability to get big timeouts in the highest leverage of situations. And if you're not capable of doing it in June in Kansas City against the Royals, can I trust you to do it in October against, the Orioles in a league championship series? I don't know.
If it's 4-3 and it's a big playoff game, the Yankees have a lead and Holmes is coming out for 3 outs. I know the numbers say you can trust him. I have a hard time. I'm going to need to see him get 3 outs. I'm not going to be coming around. Part of that is we're spoiled. We're about the same age. We grew up with, Mariano, even before that, Wetland. Even the first few years of Chapman were really good. They had potential. So they've had really good, not good closers. They've had all-time great
Elite,
closers.
yeah.
Like, yeah, the best of the best. So, I mean, we're a little bit snobby with this, but I completely agree. Where Holmes is not very trustworthy.
Any chance like the Yankees can pull a trade for like a Helsley from St. Louis,
That would be a good one.
or
That
like Mason Miller?
that would be good. Now Miller would cost a lot. There's gonna be a lot of teams after him, Phillies, Baltimore, and that might be you almost want to trade for Miller just to keep him off of Baltimore because Baltimore's got a hole there. But I
Yeah.
don't know what that would cost. I mean, that conversation probably starts with Dominguez, which I don't know if it starts with Dominguez. Is that something you're willing to do? That might do it. I mean, that might be enough of a chip where that gets it done plus pieces. Would that interest you, or would that be too much?
Well, Dominguez just had a setback,
I
so he
know.
got hurt. He got hurt again. So at this point, the Yankees might be able to sell high on Dominguez, thinking that like the injuries are going to be a part of his career for good. But I mean, they call him, what is he? He's the alien for a
The
reason,
Martian,
right? The
yeah.
Martian for a reason, because he is that special of a player. But we haven't really seen it for an extended period of time at the major league level. So I don't know. I might be willing to part. If it meant the Yankees win the World Series this year, then yes, I would do
Well,
it.
yes, but I mean, no matter who you trade for, it's hard to guarantee that. But that would be, I mean, that's who they would ask for.
You know who's a stud? And he started his career in the bullpen. Now he's become like an elite starter. Is Garrett Crochet of the White Sox? Like, I don't know if like I said, if a team acquires him, would they put him back in the bullpen because he's got such elite stuff? But he's transitioned to a really nice starter.
And that's another similar to Miller, where he's young, he's under team control, he's on a
Yep.
bad team, but hey,
Yep.
teams are going to call. It doesn't mean they're going to pull a trigger, but you're going to start getting a conversation where you're offering, 2, 3, 4 really good prospects, and you at least have to think about it. Well, hey, we don't have much going on. If we can just kind of reset things, and we at least have to listen. So that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah. Like, what is a team like the White Sox doing? Like,
Right.
I-
Well,
like if you can get major league ready players now and a couple of assets for a guy that, like, okay, great, like you have a great starting pitcher. Like, how did that work out? Like, with when Rodon was doing great on your team as a starting pitcher, how did that work? It's like, it just doesn't work out. Like, you build, if you can turn one player into three, always do it.
right. I guess the upside for keeping Crochet and Miller is like, hey, they're so young, they're under team control. We do want to be good at some point, and they're young enough
I
where, hey,
know,
they
I
can be part
know.
of the rebuild. But then I guess the counter to that is all these pitchers get hurt so often where all it takes is one little MRI for Crochet, and then he's out for a couple of years. Like, man, we could have really cashed him in. So it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously for the White Sox, I mean, for the A's, it's a little different because they will eventually move to Vegas, and you want to have a competitive team by the time you get to Vegas. You don't want to be bottom feeders when you come here because you want people to come to the ballpark. So you got to be competitive.
No doubt, Scott. I appreciate some time here, straight out of Vegas. Dream preview. Where else can people find you?
Yeah, on X, that's what they call it these days, right? It's at Scott's on Air. So hit me up there. And yeah, anytime. Well, great stuff.
All right. Hopefully we'll do this again soon. Appreciate a few minutes here. All right, that will do it. Thank you to Scott Seidenberg. We will be back Wednesday. Maybe a game 6 in the NBA Finals to talk about. We'll see. Rate, review, subscribe. Talk to you guys then.